Hello, my friends. I'm Shay Marville. Welcome to the second season of Let's Talk, a podcast dedicated to healing and growing through conversations, stories, and deep listening. We are an alchemy of one another. Talking helps us to relieve our burdens, to suffer less, because we are each other's medicine if we choose. So let's talk. On today's episode, I have a very interesting guest, Jim Barcena. He is a celebrity personal trainer, globe-trotting fitness coach. He has been around the world and back, and he has trained the likes of Jennifer Lopez, Cameron Diaz, Salma Hayek, just to mention a few, and he is in the pod today. Jim, welcome to Let's Talk.
I've been waiting all morning to say that.
How did you get into this business?
It was kind of I didn't really back my way into it, but it was sort of, I hate this word organic, but it kind of happened very organically.
Yes.
I was living in Europe at the time, mid 80s, kind of running around modeling a little bit, and then the next thing, then I'd make a few bucks, and me and a couple of my roommates would go travel until we had no money, and then we'd go back to the agency, make some more money, and then we'd end up back and then we traveled some more. We did it for about 3 years. And one of the guys I lived with was another guy. He was from Manhattan Beach. I came from, I was spending a lot of time in Newport and all that area. So we used to surf in the same contests and stuff, we found out. And we just had a really good connection, but he was a cyclist. So he got me into cycling. Like we lived with our agency in Barcelona. And while everyone else was having their lunch, their fiesta, their siesta, and they have a big 2.5 hour lunch, we bought bikes, and we would go ride from Barcelona to Sitges, which is a beach town, a little community about 25 miles south of Barcelona. And the last 10 miles were through the hills. So I kind of got into cycling, but I was I sucked at first, and he was really good. So I started learning about nutrition for cycling. And, so that went on to, I went back to the Paris agency, started working with, I got into training and nutrition more in Barcelona. And I took that knowledge, I took it to Paris and ended up training some models from the Maddie and Gauthier agency. And then I moved to New York, and instead of being I'd done a bunch of commercials in Barcelona, and I liked being in front of an action camera because, and I don't know, I just like it. So I started acting in New York, but instead of an actor waiter, I was an actor trainer, and there weren't very many trainers back then. It was kind of like, there was very few. You can count them on one hand, basically. So I just kind of got a place called Body Max on 23rd, I think, and fifth, between 5th and 6th, I think, or 6th and 7th. But it was the first. It was a great gym that had trainers and stuff, and I kind of got into it there. And then I got asked to come back to LA for something, and that's when I came back to LA. I kind of just got into it, and I ran into I started training a producer, and then just kind of things snowballed from there.
So you really you were acting and modeling, but then also really focused on looking after your own body, and then switched from acting and modeling to training actors and models and producers who needed to get fit quickly.
Yeah, I don't want to mislead you, because my modeling career really sucked, because I was back then, if you weren't 6 feet, you were nobody, and I was I'm 5'10" on a good day, and with probably your Jimmy, I probably need your Jimmy Choos too to make that make 5'10". But I got some gigs, and it was enough to keep me in Europe and not have to come home and make lifetime decisions. So it was good. But then I came to LA, and I started, and there was a contingent of trainers. And it's funny because me, Bob Harper, Gunnar Peterson, Janet Fitzgerald, Debbie Ryan, we all came from the same hub, this place called Todd Tramp's Body Sculpting. It was on Melrose and La Cienega, and that just spawned all the Barry from Barry's Boot Camp. I mean, we all came from the same gym. It's pretty funny. It's pretty interesting. That place spawned like all the top trainers in the country.
So, and you've been doing this for 40 years.
This is my 32nd year.
32nd year of being a fitness trainer.
32 years of being up at 4:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and counting 1 to 10 100 million times for clients. Yes.
Oh.
One more rep. Come on, one more. Come on, baby. You got this.
Now you just turned 60.
Yeah, it seems like but it's already been 5 months. I can't believe it. It just went by like that. So I'm on my way to 61. Damn it.
That's incredible, because I mean, you're so active, and I mean, you're kind of defying everything that we think about aging. You becoming more fit in a way.
Yeah, I got to say, I've really been on the sort of like a hermit the last. I'm really in, I don't know, lockdown mode, but I've kind of really like, when we get into talk about, you got this in a few, but it's really kind of, I'm actually living what I'm about to preach, on our podcast. It's
Yes.
And I always have lived, a semblance of that. Obviously, you have to be disciplined. You have to be strict. I'm always the first one to pull myself away from boys' night. I'm always the first one home, paying my check, getting and sneaking out the back door before anybody sees me. Because I got to get my sleep. But sometimes I still think I'm 25. Sometimes I still train like I'm 25, and I pay for it the next day. If I go out drinking with my buddies like I'm 25, I don't get hungover, but I feel really lethargic. And it takes a day or two to shake it off. So I've really backed off that whole aspect of my life for the last, since probably before the holidays, and I enjoyed myself a little bit during the holidays. The last couple of months has been really buckled down, get summer ready, body shape, because I'm launching a YouTube channel as well, and I got a couple promotional shoots coming up, and
Yes.
I want to having a six pack at 60 is kind of a commodity that it doesn't just happen. And I've never used any supplements. I don't use steroids. I've never had HGH. I've never had any hair plugs. I've never dyed my hair. So I just I guess I got to thank my parents and my heritage and my genes, I guess we'll say.
But you're also you're preaching about what you are actually living. So what's your regime? How do you stay fit at 60?
Well, I've had to become a little smarter. My dad's probably laughing right now. Smarter. That kid's not smart. Anyway, so I've had to, just because I've never had any major surgeries. I had a hernia surgery a couple of years ago, and that was the only thing I've ever really had. I haven't had any bad knee stuff. My knee's a little creaky, but it's all from wear and tear, over the years. Mm-hmm. And so I've been much more cognizant of training smart and not trying to overdo it. And I've kind of weaned it down, and I really mix things up a lot. My workouts are probably no more than 30 minutes a piece now, but as soon as I start moving, I don't stop moving. So they're intense. And even if I'm on a break, I'm still doing some sort of active recovery. Maybe it's just throwing my hands a little bit, or some high knees or whatever. I'm always during that, whatever it is, 16-minute workout, 30-minute workout, it's constant movement no matter what. Even if it's a lifting day and I'm on the bench press, and I'll stay on the bench and I'll do some crunches, just to stay busy in between until my next set of bench. It's just being efficient, utilizing my time a little more wisely, and getting in, getting out, which I really used to not. I didn't take enough time recovering, like stretching and getting massages, but now I do, because sometimes if I don't, at 60, getting out of bed the next day, you don't know what's going to hurt. Sometimes you step out of the rack, and it feels like you're walking on glass. but lately I've been popping out of bed, 4 a.m. No problem. Like
I know you called me at like 4 a.m.
That was a whole different purpose.
Now you've already let the cat out of the bag that we've got this new podcast out of LA starting in a few months. It's pretty exciting. We met through a mutual friend, and we're absolutely different, you and I. I love your concept of the efficient fitness regime, or the efficient exercise session. Can you talk to us about what it means to be really efficient in your routine?
It stems from not just efficiency in my workouts, but it's also efficiency in just life. Time is money, and now I've really, 60. I may not look at it, I may not feel it, but 60, I'm still 60. That the number's there, so I don't have time to waste. So so I pop out Monday through Friday. I'm out of the rack 3:45, 4 a.m. Usually wake up at 3:45. I haven't used an alarm clock. I've never used an alarm clock. My eyes just go bing. And then, then I do my client. All my clients are different. So I'm really big on preparations. It's huge, obviously. So I go through and I chart everybody's workouts for the day. That usually takes 30, 40 minutes. Unless I've got an early client at 5 a.m. in Malibu or something like that, then I'll just do his, and I'll get out of town and then get that done, and then do my workouts. But I usually like to have my workouts all done before I leave the house, if at all possible. People used to say, why don't you do it at night so you can sleep without that hanging over your head? But when I come home at the end of the day, I can't wait to eat, get in my bed and chill. and I don't want to think about training whatsoever at night. So I'd rather just get up in the morning and do it like that. So once I'm up.
But when you train in the morning or early in the day, isn't it better for your body so that, you kind of have that pack of energy that lasts the whole day?
Everybody's different. And, there's people that like, they sort of, they're kind of the ilk of what you just stated. And they come to me with that same query, and I say, it just depends on what you're used to. I've had people become morning people. And then next thing you know, they're paying for sessions they're not showing up for because they're not morning people. So, it just depends on what your body clock, your energy levels, just follow your body. And when whatever time suits you best and you're going to be able to be consistent with it, that's what I tell them to do. But, for me, I like to get it out of the way and not have it hanging over my head. Plus I like working out without anything in my system. I just, in the morning I get up.
So do I.
And I usually right when I get out of bed, I'll go, I make a little, I have a protein, I put a scoop of protein in a cup of coffee.
Oh.
And I don't, or sometimes I just have the protein without the coffee. I'm not really a big coffee guy, but sometimes I need a little jolt. And so I'll have coffee like twice, 2, maybe 3 times a week max, but I mix it in with my protein and a little bit of, an ice cube or so just to cool it down. And I knock it back and then I go about my business. And I'm usually out of the house by 4:45, Monday through Friday. Today, because today's a Saturday, and I usually like to, rest a little bit. I did one client this morning and I got 2 more this afternoon out at the beach. I usually like to sleep till, wake up. My eyes still open at 4, but I like to lay around on Saturdays and kind of spoil myself a little bit. But today I was up and I was so fired up about this that it was like a kid before. It was Christmas Eve for me. So I was up, I went for a workout. I came back, I went to a client's house. I came back, had a little bite to eat. I was going to do I jump rope in the backyard. I mean, I couldn't, our meeting couldn't happen soon enough.
Oh, I love that.
I've been killing time all morning just going, come on, let's do this. And I got the bad hair day happening. What's happening?
No, I love your hair. I think your bad hair day is a good hair day. No, you're very discreet about who your clients are, but is there how do your, I'm going to say in quotes, air quotes, celebrity clients, how do they reach out to you? How do you find them? How do you build relationships with them? It's
usually word of mouth or through their agent, something like that. Or a lot of actors, they share the same agent. So if one actor, if I'm working with, then someone, agents usually facilitate the whole process. And then if they like what I've done with so-and-so, then they'll tell the other so-and-so about me and then they get a hold of me. It's always been word of mouth.
And do you work with clients who are trying to get in shape for a movie, or is this part of their lifestyle? Where are you more focused?
No, I mean, so before, the last 11 years, we've talked about this, but the last 11 years before COVID, I spent a lot of my time shuttling between Moscow and LA, Malta, London, LA, back and forth. So a lot of international travel, mainly in Moscow. I became the strength and conditioning coordinator for the Russian Olympic boxing team. So, that happened in 2009. I got asked to go there. But before that, I was training a lot of people for projects, especially, I guess, the early 2000s through about 2006, 2007. I did most of my work was getting somebody ready for a project. But then I started training more athletes and boxers and whatnot, and on some crazy tours and stuff. And I really enjoyed working with athletes so much more. I mean, that's what they do, and I can, and they don't balk at whatever I ask them, whatever I ask of them. They don't balk; they just do it. I tell them to go, jump off the building and run across the street naked, and then jump up and down in front of the window at the salon across the street. And they go, really? This seems very different, but I'll do it. Oh, okay, cool. So they just do what I said, and I love that. Actors, they come in late. Like a 10 a.m. session, they'll show up at 10:45, and I've got an 11 o'clock booked, and I go, well, you're getting a 15-minute session because. It's my rules in my gym. It's my rules, and that's it. So, but the actors were a bit of a challenge, but always fun. And obviously, they gave me the forum to be on shows like this and to do master classes and speak in front of a lot of people, which I love, and to travel. So that I will never look that gift horse in the mouth, but I really do prefer training athletes, and now I've really gotten into a lot of athletic kids, which is really fun.
Oh, really? Tell me about that. What is athletic kids?
Yeah, just a lot of little kids. A lot of kids, like a lot of my clients are turning their kids onto boxing, and as an outlet, and I'm actually one of the. And it's been such a. And I've always in Moscow, here in the States, we're a little bit. Yeah, we got a lot of helicopter parents, and to all you helicopter parents out there listening, no offense, but come on, let your kid get dirty. All right, throw them in some mud, for Christ's sake. But in Moscow, there's they're not that regulated. It's a macho. They're very nationalistic and very strong mentally,
right.
And so they so they bring up their children as such, and the kids. So on Sundays in Moscow, we have a kids day, and these kids are like 3 years old, 5 years old, and you put the headgear on them, and you put the headgear on them, they they look like Stevie Wonder all over the place because they can't hold it. It's hysterical, but
so heavy.
It's so much, but it's so much fun, and I've always called kids like a clean slate. Like, they don't have any preconceived notions. They listen, and you're not trying to take them out of bad habits. Everything, if they develop a bad habit, it's because you taught them improperly. So I really enjoy the clean slate. And right now I've got like 5, 14 to 16 year olds, and it's a blast. In fact, when I leave here, I go to Zuma Beach, Malibu for a kid. He's 13, 14, and he's got some talent. He's good. He's fun.
Do you think that your age matters to kids? Do you think that they're good to learn from someone who's older, or do they want someone who's like a teenager? Like, is that
none of them really. I don't think they've never even asked my age, and I don't think they can differentiate 60 from 26. I mean, they just go, all right, Jimbo, you're pretty cool. I mean, whatever. I just, I don't go out of my way to be cool. I'm always me, no matter what. But I do have to pride myself on my bedside manner and being able to adapt to whoever is in the room with me. It's pretty natural. It's pretty fun. I enjoy different personalities. It's funny because after a day of training, I'd come home and I just want to be quiet. And sometimes when you're dating somebody or living with somebody, that's not the best way to. It's not the best recipe for a great relationship. Let me tell you, guys. And so honey, here's what I did today. And I was just like. And they go, don't you have anything to say? I go, I'm all talked out. I'm all done. I got no more words. I'm just but when I go into the gym, it's 100%, and I'm engaged every rep, every minute, every second with every client. But again, going back to the kid thing, eventually I think I really would like to sort of focus on just kids at some point in time, later down the road, a little bit down the road. But this last month or two, getting these kids in my camp, it's been so much fun. And they've got, they're 14, 15, 16. They're starting to experiment with the girls and some beers and stuff like that. So, but the boxing they think is pretty cool. The fact I've taught them some things, and I've been videotaping them lately, and they like to show off to their friends what they can do and stuff. They're a little sloppy. But I mean, it's fun, right? They're not going to fight, but they have the skills, they have the basic knowledge, and and I train everybody as if they were going to fight in the Olympics or something, because it's all about good form. Good form, allows your body to work efficiently, and it allows you to avoid injury. So, it's very important to me that form is everything. I'd rather have quality over quantity.
Yes. Now, tell me, do you meditate?
No, but everybody probably wishes I did for like 24 hours a day, because my father's funny, because he used to say, they call me the Phantom because I travel so much. And then even when I'm in town, my brother calls my mom just about every day. I call my mom, once a week, and sometimes I'll miss that. And not on purpose, just because I'm running around, and the same thing. In between clients, I'm focusing on the next client, and I just, trying to get my, just trying to get my verbal energy up and my chi up, I guess you'd say. And so, but so I go back, I go home I haven't seen my parents in 6 months, 8 months, or whatever it is. And I roll back to their house, and my dad's happy to see me for about 5 minutes. And then I'm pacing around. He goes, "Hey, kid, sit the fuck down." He goes, you're making me nervous. Because you used to say I make coffee nervous. Now he says I make espresso nervous. So, yeah. So I've just had, I've got a lot of nervous energy. I'm always moving. There was somebody that labeled me, in Moscow, there's a contingent of people that call me Shark, because I'm always moving more. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why, some people tried to put us together so that, see what it's like to have this energy bouncing off of each other. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to exploring this with you. Tell me.
My ex-wife is big in meditation, and we
Yes.
have an ex-trainer of mine. She travels all over the world. She was a trainer of mine in my first gym that I opened in '98 in West Hollywood, and she's she's a worldwide authority. She went to India and studied, and she married a guru for a while, and they have a kid, and he's like 14, 15 now. He's like a Swami, whatever they go. But my ex-wife, she meditates, and like a lot of people around me meditate. I don't have the patience. I don't know. I guess I should learn. Like right now, I'm sitting here.
Not everybody
I'm sitting
should.
here, and my leg is going 100 miles an hour because that's just who I am. That's my makeup, I guess. But when that stops, that'll probably worry me. It'll be like, I'll probably check myself into the emergency room if that stops, because there's obviously something wrong. So.
No, you're training a lot of chefs, and chefs are big celebrities these days.
Yeah, chefs are the rock stars of this era. Yeah.
How do you juggle like not having great food and then not eating it, or not eating too much of it, and working with celebrity chefs?
Well, one of the guys that I was training a guy he's an Australian in Moscow named Glenn Ballas. He's the number one as an Australian in Moscow. He's the number one chef in Moscow. He just opened his 11th restaurant, I think, this week. And I'm not sure how he does it, because, and every restaurant is so well done and so unique. And the fare is so upper echelon, whether it's, and he brings, and the products he gets and all the stuff and all the different ideas. It makes me, my brother's a chef as well. And how they come up with all these concoctions or whatever. I think, putting together a training regimen and for one day is difficult. But, my brother used to, he would have to, he was on a yacht, on super yachts for a long time. And when he'd have to provision for a 2-week thing, I go, how do you know what people are going to want 10 days from now? It was nuts. That makes me crazy just thinking about it. But the guys, I'm training a couple big restaurant owners here right now. One of them is he was eating too much. And now he's just taken it upon himself over the last couple of months, and he's cut out and boozing too much. And he's backed that off a lot, and he's eating less and stuff. And he's seen some gains. He also had a couple of injuries that he's working through as well. But I don't do the thing. I'm not the Gordon Ramsay of trainers. I don't start yelling. I don't tell them this is how it's got to be. I set the table for them, and then what they choose to pick at is that's up to them. But I've had success for over 30 years, and they either listen or they don't. And most of them listen. And by the way, I never want anybody to feel depraved or like they're missing out on something, So
right,
it goes back to very simple, pick and choose your battles. If you're going to have the creme brulee and the souffle, then maybe you back off on the appetizer or vice versa, or something like that. Just kind of you shouldn't feel like you're missing out or deprived, but you do have to make concessions. You have to sacrifice. You can't just eat like a Richard VIII every night of the week.
No, tell me three things.
Is Richard VIII? Was he a person? That's something. I have no idea.
Tell me three tips you would give your clients right now for 2022.
Okay, I'll give you four.
Four, okay.
And because it's part of what I sort of preach, and it's kind of my 4 C's, the letter C in fitness. And the first one is to create a plan. Don't, whether you have a trainer or you're just going into the gym, don't go in willy-nilly and look around and go, oh, and then find a machine and do something and then take a selfie and then roll around and get in conversation and then, hit your stories. No, have a plan, put something on paper and follow it. It's, as close as you can. That's the first C. The second is make sure it's convenient, because if it's not convenient, you're not actually. The second is more in line with consistency. So consistency, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day, just get some movement in. This rings 100% true every single time, that if you feel crappy, if you feel shitty and don't want to work out, I guarantee you 10 minutes of movement, 12 minutes of movement, you're going to feel so much better and you're going to be so happy with yourself after that. It's that first 5 minutes of just getting yourself moving, getting the wipes, getting the barnacles off the hull a little bit and just getting moving. That's the key component. So the next one would be convenience. So convenience lends itself to consistency. If you have a gym that's 10, 15 minutes away, 20 minutes, and you get there, then you go to the locker room, and you change, and you get a conversation. I mean, there's 45 minutes right there you just blew, and then how if you're a busy person, which most of my clients are high-end, upper echelon people, they got places to be. You're wasting time. That's not efficient. And the last one to really achieve success in any sort of fitness, and I think in life in general, is you need to get out of your comfort zone. They like that big squishy quilt. There's too many Linuses in this world rolling around with the cushy blanket. I think you got to get a little
mix things up.
If you're gonna do something positive for yourself, fitness wise, business wise, even relationship wise, you got to be a little uncomfortable. You got to do things that you normally would not do, and take yourself out of that that's cushy, that soft realm. It doesn't take a lot. It's just little tweaks here and there, but just make yourself a little uncomfortable. And
is that the key to your longevity?
I think about this a lot because I've had some weird aches and pains lately in the last couple of weeks. I had a little throat issue that was kind of making me nervous, but it's all good. But I know my body really well. So if anything's off, I mean, I know right away. And I go, something. And I think, I'm terminal, I'm dead in a week. But it's usually not the case. And I look back, I go, how come? I'm 60 and I've had very few ailments. I up until recently, I did get the COVID, but it didn't really affect me. And right before Christmas, my daughter had it. And then I was exposed to it, and then I couldn't go home for Christmas. My mom and dad are older, and they have pre-existing conditions, so I didn't go to Christmas. But besides all this stuff that's happening right now, I haven't had before that, I hadn't had a cold or flu or anything like that in probably 8 or 9 years, I think. I mean, not even. And I have people breathing on me all day, sweating on me all day. I'm touching weights that are all gross and disgusting, and I just that goes back to something I said earlier, about letting kids get dirty. And the fact that I remember, when I was in, second, third grade, I remember the house, and I remember my mom was having a Tupperware party, and I was out, and she turned the sprinklers on for me and my buddies out in the backyard, and we're running around in the St. Augustine grass, and all these worms are popping up, and we were like grabbing the worms and rolling in the mud. Then I took all the worms and I put them all over my body, and I ran into the Tupperware party and scared the hell out of all the ladies. And but it's things like that. I think that's what gave me my immune system. I think that really is if I look back at stuff and go, well, how come I don't, I was that guy, he's got this flu and I don't even have a sniffle. What's the problem? He's been breathing on me for 2 days. Give the credit to, just growing up as a kid, rolling around and having fun and not being overprotective. And we didn't have all the wipes and all that stuff. There was none of that.
Yes. Yeah. Are you having fun right now? Like in 2022, sort of coming out of the pandemic, what's fun for you right now?
It's interesting you asked me that, because this has been the best week in a long time, to be honest. This week. Really? And I've been kind of we've been talking, we got together, November to start getting this thing together, early November, something like that. So that got me kind of juiced up for 2022, right? So fired up. I started, a little Saturday boot camp, which I love those, outdoors with some clients. And people that, can't afford to train with me, at least they can go in a group setting and, it's $25 a session. They can have, and it's a fun Saturday after thing. So I did that. Now I'm working on YouTube channel.
Yes.
Which I think that goes. I have some friends of me said I've left a lot of money on the table by not going, like Zoom training and this kind of thing. But I'm like really old. I'm really old school that way. Like I drive around all day, from my truck is my rolling gym, and I go from client to client to client. I like that one-on-one thing. I like the look in the eyes and be right there for them. And that whole training, the virtual training, just seems a little empty for me. But I've been stupid because I've got a lot of friends making a lot of money doing it that way. Right. And I'm still running around all over town all day like a circus monkey on crack. And
but you like that. You like being
I do.
with people.
I absolutely do. But I gotta. It would be nice to up my situation a little bit. I don't know. It's I'd like to just take off, and to be honest with you, next year at this time, I would like to be in an Airstream and training from remote locations anywhere I want to be.
Where would you want to be? Where, like, you've obviously traveled a lot. Where would you go? My proclivities are to be like to live a no shirt, no shoes lifestyle. So I guess beach. So I like the coast, but there's a lot.
I did a national tour as an actor years ago, back in the late 80s. It was a 2-man show. We traveled we got cast in New York, but rehearsals were here in Los Angeles. And then once we opened the show, we started in Colorado Springs and then Ohio. And, we were all over the Midwest and stuff. And, and yeah, it's okay to go through there once, but yeah, I've seen all that. I don't need to go there again. I prefer the outskirts. So, again, if I'm offending anybody, I apologize. It's not my cup of tea.
No,
plus, you look like me, and everybody wants to fight you, and they don't think I can fight, so that's a problem.
What? You look like? What do you mean? Everybody
you look like a guy, my kind of hair and the way I dress. I'm a little, and these, these these country boys and all this stuff. You walk in a bar for a beer, next thing you know, you got 3 guys. They want to jump you, and because their girlfriend, who's the waitress, gave you a smile or something. It's crazy. I mean, you have no. You think I'm joking, but I
believe you.
I had to be hustled out of a lot of bars and clubs, going across the country.
Interesting.
It was nuts.
So in terms of, I don't think you really answered my question, but in terms of like, what are you doing to have fun in 2022? Like, what else are you doing beyond work? Like, what's happening in your life?
That kind of is my fun right now, because of the projects that's kind of landing in my lap. And the last one just happened this week. It's not oversaturated yet, but it's a boxing franchise, a group setting. To be the first one to do it in my area, like Calabasas area, maybe Palisades area, or Woodland Hills, Calabasas. And so that just came across. It was this week. And I've got some people already interested in funding it, so we're just waiting on the paperwork and the numbers and things like that. But that's already tried, tested, and true. And it's a company that I think is the best. They do it the way all these group boxing classes that are out there now. I think they do it the best. I don't want to say their name right now, I'm looking. But I can't wait to divulge that once it happens. Yeah. So I really think that's going to happen.
Excellent.
And that excites. So that's fun to me. I mean. Because otherwise, my fun is just, anytime, like today, I've got a client in Malibu after this, like I said. And then afterwards, I'll probably, my thing is I like to go to this place called Duke's and go have a couple fish tacos and a beer at the bar. And that's like a perfect Saturday for me, But I'm not really drinking right now. So you can't have a fish taco without the beer. So it's a little bit of a quandary right now. Yeah, I'm training twice a day right now. I'm getting ready for, because of the YouTube channel, and like harken back to, being 60 and still being kind of cut, I got to take advantage of that and use that as a great marketing tool, because, it doesn't, and it's because of my discipline. But the one thing is people see me out and they see me still having fun. So I've been able to find a balance between those two worlds. I mean, when I get out, I get out. I like my tequila, and my buddies are nuts, and we just have a great time. We have a fantastic, I have a really good core group. Core group of guys and girls that hang out. Our crew is a lot of fun. So, and it takes a lot for me to pass up on parties, because there's always a party. And then you go, I'll start this no drinking next week after so and so's event. The next day there's always another event. This is Los Angeles. There's an event every night if you really want it.
I know. I think we were talking one evening, and I think you were about to go and train someone. And it was around the area the Kardashians live. So it was a bit crazy. Like what is it like living in the Kardashian orbit now? Well,
I was just getting divorced, and to my lovely ex-wife out there. Hi. And Kris Jenner was like, we had a private gym. I was with, at the time my best friend, Gunnar Peterson. He's world famous trainer. Right. So I was training in his little private we call it the compound. And Kris was his first client every morning. And she would leave, and that was in, his gym was in Beverly Hills. And she lived in Calabasas. She was there at 4:15 every morning. So she'd leave her house at like 3:30 every morning. And so I trained her when Gunnar was busy or out of town. But I was just going through my divorce, and she was always trying to set me up with her friends and stuff. And so the Kardashian factor back then was fun. And I used to play golf with Bruce at Sherwood Country Club. Caitlin now, but it was Bruce back then.
Yes.
So we played golf. I remember we had a couple foursomes, and back then, when working with Jennifer Lopez, and she was married to Chris. Chris, what's his face? The
dancer.
Yeah, he was super cool. So he played golf. So we had a nice, fun foursomes, and he was good. He's a really good dude. And and now I never lived in the Valley until after COVID. I was always on the other side, in the West Hollywood, Brentwood, that side of town. And this is I'm actually coming up on 2 years living in the Valley. I got a great situation. I live in a big house with a great guy, really good dude. I don't think we've ever had an argument in 2 years, because we just live our lives. We just do our business, and then we go out. We go have beers and watch sports with all the rest of the crew. And there's never really anything to argue over. Especially since I'm a little OCD and very neat.
You are very neat, actually.
I mean, it's crazy how it's. I mean, it's just I make my bed as I'm getting out of it.
So. Yeah, no, I've seen different parts of your house, and it is extremely, extremely neat. So okay, so you gave us your 4 tips for right. being healthy.
Yeah, so let's go over it one more time just to be clear. Right?
Yeah, let's
create a plan.
Yes.
Make it convenient.
Yes.
Which will allow you to be consistent, and then get out of your comfort zone. So those are the 4. If you do nothing else this next week in creating your fitness, whatever your fitness goals or endeavors are for the next coming week or however you do, try and plug those in and see how it works for you. I mean, it's just going to make things more efficient, and just even if convenience. Now since COVID, there's so many online options, and like I said, I'm not the hugest advocate of training online, but I look online, I watch all these people, and there's some really good trainers out there, and there's a lot of gimmicky trainers out there. There's not room at the top if I'm there, because the hair takes up a lot of space, but there's plenty of room just under me at the almost top.
Funny.
And there's plenty of clients all over the place for people, and there's something for everybody out there. So find what you like and give it. People think being consistent is doing. I did all last week, but my body still looks the same. 1 week. If you've been living like a 3-toed sloth for the last 15 years, and all of a sudden you decide to get active, your body's not just going to turn over and go, "Oh, we're working out now. Let's start dropping some weight." Your body is a defense mechanism. It's going to combat your working out, and you may actually go in the opposite direction for the first week or two. So so you may want to, you got to give it at least 4 weeks, and you don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to be in there an hour every day, whatever. Go do a 15-minute HIIT class. Then mix up with the strength. If you really want to drop weight, people will keep talking. I just hate people go, "I need more cardio." That makes me nuts, because cardio, it makes you skinny fat. Cardio, you want to build lean muscle, which ups your metabolism, which burns fat, and so you need to lift weights. All right, yes. And you can do it in what's called a complex manner, where you take one pair of dumbbells, and with that one pair of dumbbells, you find 3 compound multi-joint moves, and you do them back to back to back, and then you take a rest. And you can do that 3 or 4 times, and that'll be a better workout than an hour spinning class. Or actually, I'm going to say I love spinning. I was fortunate to be one of the first 12 instructors in the world way back in the day. But I'm not. But I mean, these cardio classes, all these cardio classes where you're static state, where people are running at a static state on the treadmill for an hour. That's there's very little benefit. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not going. If you're looking to look lean, which most people are trying to, drop another hole in their belt size and stuff like that, that's not going to help you.
So as we get older, do you think that we should be lifting more weights?
Yeah, especially women, because of their propensity towards osteoporosis and things like that.
Yes,
and that hunched over thing where you start to shrink. Have you started to shrink yet?
Of course not.
Okay,
no. No, I'm a yogi. I'm not shrinking.
Okay, good. Yeah, so you're always upright with that posture thing. Yeah. No, but if you really, it's funny because there's so many commercials now that have all this gimmicky, do this for, you're after 30. I was just watching one before I got on here with you. That said, after 30, we start to lose our lean muscle mass, and I go, I'm fucking 60, shut the fuck up. I'm not losing mine. And I don't know. I think my testosterone levels are still pretty high. So, it's when you stop doing something that your body doesn't need to manufacture it. But if you stay active, your body doesn't miss what it doesn't need, and it won't make what it doesn't need if you're not utilizing it. So, so you just gotta move and stay consistent, and there's it's not for everybody. And, Yeah, actually, there was something I really wanted to say, but I'm sure it'd be taken in a very, in a very insensitive manner. So I'm going to hold back on that.
I'm kind of curious.
We all can't live forever. Some of us have to go by the wayside. Our freeways are too full as it is. Adios. If you're not going to take care of yourself, get out of my way. Because the sharks behind you. Move over. Let me merge. Going back to, and real quickly, if I could just mention, you got this, and I got to thank you for a second, because there was I was really looking to do something in a total different direction than fitness and what I've been doing for 32 years. And my father kind of got mad at me. He goes, "What are you thinking? You got to do what you're good at, But I was just looking for a break and looking to a different arena. But you brought a different angle, of what of my idea to me, and we've sort of batted it back and forth a few times, correct?
Yes.
And I think we've really honed in on something. The last email I sent you, or the last whatever it was, yes. I really think I can see it now. I see where it goes, but I was worried before about being pigeonholed into a fitness podcast or something like that. But I realize now, this goes into life change and learning how to life resets and changing direction and get overcoming everyday obstacles and day-to-day stuff and even love life stuff and
yes.
And I'm sure there's some women that just fell off their chair thinking, what's this asshole doing talking about a love life? I'm sure some ex-girlfriends are out there going, well, are you out of your mind, nutbag? But I've been very self-effacing in that, I've had to be, because I screwed up something. I screwed up something about 6 months ago. And I kicked myself for that. But
yes,
instead of kicking myself, I've looked in the mirror, and that really spawned. And I got to tell you, that breakup in October really spawned where I am now. And I've written her a text or two, thanking her for, it sucks that we're not together. That's fine, but it's taken a while to get this to, taking a lot of ice to take that sting away. But but it was a catalyst for personally making change. So it really makes sense to do what we're doing, because I'm actually living it in the moment right now.
Absolutely.
And it's taken a new kind of discipline. I've always been disciplined, but in certain areas I get a little loosey goosey. I start to vary into a different lane a little bit here and there, but then I'm pretty much always able to reel it back in and find my way. And this, like I say, with with this and the possible franchise and the YouTube channel, the boot camp, I'm where I like when my plate is full is when I'm happy. I want to be like the Golden Corral buffet of fitness. I want to have my hand in everything.
No, I'm excited. And I think, one of my skills as a coach is seeing the greatness in other people and helping them to see it in themselves. And I love doing that. And I think it didn't make sense to me that you would veer out of your talent base. You've spent a number of decades building and growing other people and contributing to their success in their health and wellness. So why wouldn't you take that and build it into something more? So, we're just at the beginning, but I am so excited. And I know you're busy. I know that you've got to go train someone very important.
Actually, I'm actually going to shoot over Calabasas over the canyon, so it'll be no problem.
Well, listen, I love you. I'm excited about what you're doing, and I'm excited that you are so emboldened right now, and I love it, because I think if you just go with everything that's in you, big things are going to happen. Thank you for being on Let's Talk.
Well, thank you for your words, Shay. I really appreciate that, because I know I shoot from the hip. I don't pull any punches, and and you do the same, but in a much nicer manner. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm Shay Marville, and you've been listening to Let's Talk, a podcast dedicated to healing and growing. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And listen, I need your help to grow the reach of this show. Would you please subscribe, rate, and review us on any platform that you're listening to? I'd love to hear your feedback. Ciao for now.